Today is Friday, December 20th. What to know about a bipartisan revolt against the latest spending bill that could lead to a government shutdown within hours. Also, this year is expected to see the most December holiday travel on record. We'll tell you what to expect on the roads and in the airports over the next few days. Plus, thousands of Amazon workers are on strike during the holiday rush. The FDA has a new definition of what's considered healthy. And the college football playoff is here, but it's never looked like this before. We'll explain. Those stories and even more news to know coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. The federal government is on track to shut down at midnight unless Congress acts soon. The House voted on a slimmed-down version of the spending bill we told you about yesterday. The new one proposed keeping the government running at current spending levels for 3 months while suspending the debt ceiling, which the first bipartisan bill did not address. The disaster relief and aid for farmers stayed in. But it stripped out some of the provisions like 9/11 healthcare funds, a lawmaker pay raise, as well as new rules for AI and pharmacy benefits managers, and more. President-elect Trump endorsed the newer bill after he and billionaire businessman Elon Musk shot down the last one. He liked that this one was simpler and also included debt suspension so his administration could get right to work in the new year. But the new bill failed in the House. Dozens of conservative Republicans joined most Democrats in voting no. Those Republicans say they didn't want to increase the debt ceiling, while the Democrats say the new bill would be used to pay for extensive tax cuts for wealthy people at the expense of working people. The floor debate on this one got pretty unruly, with yelling and booing. In fact, the presiding lawmaker broke his gavel trying to bring the floor to order. Well, now it's back to square one. And if a new deal is not approved by the end of the day, there will be a partial shutdown. And that means hundreds of thousands of federal workers will be furloughed, going without pay until the shutdown is over. Service members could also have delayed paychecks. But essential government agencies like the FBI, Border Patrol, and Coast Guard will stay running no matter what. There's been a surprise move in the last active criminal case against President-elect Trump, putting its future in doubt. The district attorney who's been leading the election interference case out of Georgia was just disqualified. You may remember earlier this year, a judge actually decided she could stay on, even though she admitted to having a relationship with the lawyer she hired to manage the case. But an appeals court threw out that decision yesterday, saying it was the only way to restore trust in the system. The DA still insists there were never any financial or ethical conflicts of interest, so she's now asking the Georgia Supreme Court to weigh in too. If this latest ruling stands, it will likely doom the case, since in Georgia, when a case is stripped from prosecutors, it's up to a Republican-controlled state panel to decide its fate. So Trump's lawyers were already celebrating what they called an end to a politically motivated persecution. In this one, Trump and 14 of his allies were charged with conspiring to overturn his 2020 election loss. Besides Georgia, 4 other states are pursuing criminal cases related to the Trump team's actions after that loss. But Georgia was the only one to bring charges against Trump himself. The man suspected of killing United Healthcare CEO is back in New York to face murder charges. It's not just state charges anymore either. Yesterday, the suspect was charged with federal crimes of murder, stalking, and weapons offenses. And that means if he is found guilty, he could face the death penalty. The federal charging document also reveals new details about events leading up to the CEO's death. Investigators apparently found journal entries from the summer that say things like, the details are finally coming together, and more from the fall, where the writings start counting down to the day of the shooting. It's believed this was a targeted attack, motivated by grievances over the healthcare industry. Because of that, the suspect has been given a sort of quasi-folk hero status online. At his hearings yesterday, there were protesters holding up signs in support of him, and his lawyer criticized the case, saying he's been overcharged, raising constitutional concerns. For now, both the federal and state cases are continuing simultaneously. A record number of holiday travelers are expected to hit the roads and the skies over the next few days. This caps an already busy year that also set records for Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Thanksgiving. But Americans don't seem too burned out on travel just yet. Between tomorrow and New Year's Day, nearly 120 million people are expected to travel at least 50 miles from home. Almost 90% of them are expected to drive. If you're thinking about driving today, transportation company INRIX suggests leaving in the morning, since the worst travel times are expected to be from 1 to 8 p.m. Though if you're flying today, morning is expected to be the busiest. The quietest times for both road and air travelers are expected to be Christmas Eve and Christmas Day next week. Of course, one big X factor is weather. Today and into this weekend, a storm on the East Coast could slow things down even more than usual. If you plan to travel early next week, things are expected to stay pretty dry for most of the country. Then new trouble spots might pop up in the middle of the week as people are celebrating Christmas and Hanukkah. So forecasters say it's a good idea to check on conditions before returning home from the holidays. More news still ahead, but first, thanks to our sponsor, Zocdoc. Along with the holiday cheer, this time of year often comes with more sicknesses than usual, especially if you're a parent of young kids. And it's just not that fun to deal with. So make it a little easier on yourself to find the doctor you need when you need them with a healthcare app that can filter doctors who take your insurance, are located nearby, and are the right fit for whatever it is you need. Zocdoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors, choose the right one for your needs, and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about in-network appointments with more than 100,000 healthcare providers across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, eye care to skin care, and much more. Plus, Zocdoc appointments happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score same-day appointments. I check Zocdoc anytime I'm looking for a new doctor to support my most valuable asset, my health and my family's health. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to Zocdoc.com/newsworthy to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/newsworthy. Zocdoc.com/newsworthy. Now back to the news. The shortest day of the year is almost here. The winter solstice is tomorrow, December 21st. The solstice marks the official start of winter. And everyone who lives north of the equator, including the entire U.S. and 90% of the world's population, will see daylight shorter than 12 hours. For anyone living in the southern hemisphere, it's the start of summer and the longest day of the year. Many ancient cultures celebrated the winter solstice, and some still honor those traditions. Vancouver will host its Winter Solstice Lantern Festival. Germans will hold the Yule Festival, and millions of people around the world will celebrate the Persian festival of Yalda. Here in the U.S., some indigenous people in Alaska mark the day with ceremonies, feasts, and dancing. Then, starting Sunday, each day will bring a bit more daylight in the northern hemisphere until the summer solstice. So there are literally brighter days ahead. Healthy food has a new definition for the first time in 3 decades, at least according to the Food and Drug Administration. And the definition matters since American manufacturers must meet the FDA's standards to put a healthy label on their products. Each food is only allowed to have a certain amount of sugar, salt, or saturated fat, depending on what it is. But the FDA says the definition needed updating to reflect more recent nutrition science. For example, under the old rule, salmon was not considered healthy because of high fat content. But now it is, because research has found the fat is a good source of heart-healthy fatty acids. Also, under the old rule, some sugary cereal could be considered healthy. Now they'll no longer be able to keep that label. The FDA says it made the changes so people could feel more empowered to make healthy choices at the grocery store. But some food manufacturers say the update was heavy-handed, not based on solid scientific evidence, and not taking the economic impacts into consideration. For now, displaying the healthy label is voluntary, and manufacturers have until February 25th, 2028 to comply with the new definition. The biggest American strike against Amazon is now underway during the online retailer's busiest time of year. The Teamsters Union, representing 10,000 Amazon delivery drivers and warehouse workers, decided to start with 7 U.S. locations yesterday, including bustling facilities around New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles, Atlanta, and more. The Teamsters say it's meant to pressure Amazon to negotiate fair contracts with its organized workers and recognize those who want to unionize. Striking employees are asking for higher wages, better benefits, and safer working conditions. But Amazon says those picketing its facilities are almost entirely outsiders who aren't affiliated with the company, and that the company's actual employees don't want a union, citing the pay and benefits already provided. Still, the union is pressuring Amazon to come to the table, saying otherwise picket lines could expand to hundreds of Amazon facilities. For now, Amazon says it doesn't foresee any problems delivering holiday orders on time. The bargain retail chain Big Lots is going out of business for good. It's been in the cards for a while now. Some more than 400 stores have already closed this year. A few months ago, Big Lots tried to survive by entering bankruptcy with a plan to sell its assets to a private equity firm. But that deal fell through. So now Big Lots says the rest of its stores are set to hold going out of business sales. It didn't offer a timeline on how long the sales would last or when all the locations would shut down. It's apparently holding out hope for another sale that might be able to keep stores open, though at this point, there's no deal on the table. The first expanded college football playoff starts tonight, with 12 teams still alive for a national championship. Yes, 12. Even though for the past decade, it was just 4 who made it to this point. This time, the top 4 teams are Oregon, Georgia, Boise State, and Arizona State. And they'll play on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Everyone else plays this weekend, including big-name programs like the University of Texas, Clemson, Ohio State, and Penn State. It all starts tonight with Indiana versus Notre Dame. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Feel Good Friday, when we bring you one extra feel-good or positive news story before the weekend. But first, a quick break for our sponsor. Want to give the gift your family or friend will be talking about all year long? A trade subscription is not just coffee. It is an experience that keeps on giving. Every month, your gift recipient will get a new freshly roasted coffee perfectly matched to their taste from one of the top small batch roasters in the U.S. I've enjoyed coffee from Sterling Coffee Roasters, Bird Rock Coffee Roasters, Dune Coffee Roasters, and more. It's like getting your loved one a tour of the country's best coffee shops without leaving home. I can tell you from my experience that it is such a fun process to receive the coffee in the mail each month, and the coffee itself is super fresh and high quality. I personally love trying all different kinds. So are you ready to cross that last gift off your list? Trade is offering their best savings of the year on gift subscriptions right now. So head to drinktrade.com/newsworthy to send a personalized coffee subscription in minutes. Again, go to drinktrade.com/newsworthy while Trade is offering their best savings of the year on gift subscriptions. Now back to Feel Good Friday. One couple proved it's never too late to find true love and set a world record doing it. 102-year-old Marjorie Fitterman and 100-year-old Bernie Littman tied the knot this year, and their combined age of 202 got them a place in the Guinness Book of World Records. They had both been married before. In fact, both were in marriages that lasted more than 60 years, but their spouses passed away. Then 9 years ago, Marjorie and Bernie fell in love in a retirement home. They first ran into each other at a party there and realized they actually went to the same college at the same time, even though they never crossed paths back then. They went on a date later that same day, and the rest is history. They got married in front of 10 loved ones. The bride and groom said the record really didn't matter, that they just enjoyed their time together and wanted to make it official. Marjorie and Bernie's relatives are on board, saying they continue to keep each other young. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back tomorrow with our special edition Saturday episode about how to make the most of your memories by organizing your photos. And the tips are pretty simple. If you're not an insider yet, you can further support our work here and get ad-free episodes or gift a Newsworthy membership to the listener in your life. You can learn more and get a free trial at thenewsworthy.com/insider. And Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to episodes of The Newsworthy ad-free in the Wondery app. Join us again tomorrow and then again on Monday for another Daily News Roundup. For now, thanks again for listening and have a great weekend.